section is all about the diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Improving the experience for families around the diagnosis pathway is something here at Action Duchenne we're passionate about. In these videos, we're going to try and break down a few of the key elements of the diagnosis and go through the science behind it, ultimately explaining why they're doing what they're doing. As with all of these videos, contact details are available at the end or in the description below. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that at this point we should discuss the histology images of the muscles from a healthy muscle and from the non-dystrophic muscle, and also from a muscle from an individual with Duchenne. And we have these amazing images, histology images from the Nature review. Would you like to comment on them, Marine?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think where we're trying to navigate now is to actually show you what a person, a histologist will look at when he looks down the microscope at a muscle biopsy. So we're trying to show you what, in the rare cases muscle biopsy is done, what do they actually see down the microscope. And there should be a paper that pops up on the screen by Duan et al. And we've just kind of adapted some images from that paper, which I'd like to kind of discuss a bit in detail. But so an image should pop up on your screen, which will be pink. So on the left-hand side, we've got the image labeled A. On the right-hand side, we've got an image labeled B. So image A is from a non-dystrophic muscle. It is from someone who does not have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Now we're looking down at the cross-section of the sort of muscle the biopsy that was taken. And you can see on the left-hand side that you can see these little circles. These are cells. They are regular in shape. They are regular in size and number. And in the middle, there's the white arrow points to a white line, which is basically connective tissue. So you can see a nice distribution of connective tissue, and you can see equally distant sized cells and equally numbered, well, not equally, but nice distribution of cells in number. However, if you look on the right-hand side, image B, this is a cross-section of a muscle from someone who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And here you can immediately see the difference, where you can see the cell size is variable. They are bigger in size, they're different in size. The number of cells are different. And you can see that white in the middle, the space, that's the connective tissue. That's basically also sort of haphazard, and there is a deposition of connective tissue throughout the muscle. Does that make sense, Sophia?
Yes, that's the very nice and clear explanation, Marine. I can totally imagine it in my head, not even looking at the tissues. So yeah, please go on, because I know we have more images.
Yeah, so that's just us looking at just the number of cells and how they're distributed in the two different sort of muscles, non-dystrophic and dystrophic. And moving on, we can focus on just the connective tissue. So when you get different slides or cross-section of muscle biopsy, you can stain them to highlight different things about the muscle. So the second image that I'm showing you, which will be image C and D, so these two images. So on the left-hand side, you've again got a muscle cross-section from someone who does not have Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And on the right, you've got cross-section of muscle from someone who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And here we are focused on connective tissue. So the arrow in yellow pointing to the blue sort of tubular lines, these are connective tissues. And you can see they are connecting all the cells in red throughout the muscle. And the connective tissue is nicely placed. There's a good distribution of it across the image in C. However, if you look at the image D, which is from a dystrophic muscle, you can see the connective tissue has been sort of is all over, and is kind of taking over the muscle cells. And that is what we say overall when there is a muscle loss. There is that replacement of healthy muscle with connective tissues, which are not elastic and sort of able to move as well. So that's what we're looking at in blue here, as pointed by the yellow arrow in image D. So if we just move on and look at what other things a histologist will look down when they have a muscle biopsy cross-section. So the next thing that's, of course, something that's really one of the most sort of important is the dystrophin distribution. So here we've actually got a muscle, so now we're looking at image E and F. So on the left-hand side, you've got, again, a cross-section of a muscle, which is from a healthy individual. On the right-hand side, you've got cross-section of a muscle, which is from someone who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So the red lines that you can see pointed by the yellow arrows are actually dystrophin itself, the protein distributed across the muscle. And you can see on the left-hand side that there's a nice distribution of dystrophin. There's plenty of dystrophin present. However, in the image on the right-hand side, you can see that there is little to no dystrophin present. And then again, we can see the effect that the mutation has on the actual protein. So you have the recipe manual, the gene, and there's something that is wrong, mutated, or has changed in the recipe manual that has actually led to no dystrophin being produced in this muscle biopsy from an individual who has Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Marine, that was a really, really good explanation. Thank you. I really appreciate how nicely and in such a simple language you managed to explain the histology of the non-dystrophic and dystrophic muscle in the individuals with Duchenne muscle dystrophy. I would just like to add that, when we are talking about the genetic testing, about the mutations, point mutations, you have really imagined it in your head. But when we look at the histology images, we can see what's actually happening in the muscle. We can see why there's no more flexibility in this muscle, when the connective tissue is overtaking, why the movements are limited. And it really, really shows us this difference between these two muscles. And another thing I would like to add is that now we understand why it is so important to preserve the muscles, to let them be as flexible and not damaged in order to proceed further with the new emerging therapies like gene therapy. And because once we get the dystrophin in the body, we still need the muscles to keep that dystrophin. We need the structure and the flexibility, the myofibers, to nicely attach to dystrophin and to let it function.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is why it kind of paints the whole picture of why these essential steps in the diagnosis are so important, because like you said it really beautifully, that at the end of the day, we are trying to match the right therapy with the right person. It's almost like not every shoe fits everyone. So you need to find the right mutation specific therapy that would fit the right person. I mean, I know you said gene therapy, which applies to all, but some of the other therapies like exon skipping, for example, they are, mutation specific. And this really highlights the importance of and the power of these diagnostic tools and techniques and the importance of them. And in the rare cases that you do muscle biopsy, it really highlights why we're doing it. What are we looking at? And this is just one of the techniques we've shown you, the histology. There are other tests that are done after muscle biopsy with that muscle to kind of determine presence or absence of dystrophin or what mutation there is. But even with this one technique, you can understand, hopefully it highlights how much we can look at the muscle in depth. So we can get the right tools, resources, whether we need physiotherapy, what stage of the kind of condition we're at, what intervention is required. So this is why it's quite important to go down that route. I mean, again, we've said it before as well, that muscle biopsies, although valuable, is not required if genetic testing gives you a positive in terms of what mutation it is.
Yes, absolutely. And the other way around, if the muscle biopsy has been performed and we can see that there is a lack of dystrophin, it's not enough to confirm the diagnosis. Genetic test is mandatory to confirm the diagnosis of Duchenne muscular dystrophy.
Here at Action Duchenne, we are committed to inform, but also support you through your Duchenne journey. If you'd like to talk about anything raised in this video, please feel free to contact us on 07535 498 506, or alternatively email us at info@actionduchenne.org. Thank you.